Good afternoon to you, all our cherished viewers and audience out there. Today is another beautiful Thursday, and it's time for our Leadership 360 conversation. Live on Metro TV, DSTV channel 277, and on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana. We are excited to be back again after episode 1 last week of season 3. Today is yet another discourse that will send us a bit deeper into the SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals. Today we have, a consultant and an expert, if you like, on the program with us to help dissect the first 3, goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. I am your regular host, Dr. Victor Abbey, and let's take that quick pledge, Leadership 360 pledge, and a message from our sponsors, and we shall be right back to commence the discourse.
Are you looking for an excellent professional risk management and training solutions provider? Look no further. Your ultimate solution provider is here at V5 Solutions Limited. We support you with our professional skills in building capacity of your teams and managing all your operational risks. Our bespoke solutions include private and corporate security risk management and training, fraud investigation, occupational safety and health management and training, project monitoring, evaluation and research, supply of private security, logistics equipment. Our solutions are professionally delivered with in-depth focus on people, processes and procedures, the environment and ultra-modern technology. Contact us now on 0303 957136 and 053 5176 or send us an email at info@v5solutionslimited.com for a partnership that strengthens your company for an excellent sustainable productivity and profitability. Visit our website at www.v5solutionslimited.com for more details. V5 Solutions Limited, your ultimate professional risk management and training hub.
I promise on my honor to be a better leader every day, faithful and loyal to my country, organization, and fellow team members, countrymen and women. I pledge myself to remain true to the core values of integrity and self-discipline through my daily choices and actions. My mind is alert, focused at all times. I shall show respect to everyone always and every time. I remain a better leader and team player always. So I pledge.
Welcome back. Indeed, it is my pledge as well to remain very alert at all times to provide the requisite support to the development of the society, our country, and the continent at large. This is Leadership 360, live on Metro TV at channel 277 on DSTV, and we also live on Facebook and on VOL online radio as well. If you just tune in, you may want to tell a friend that the Leadership 360 program is live. And today, we're going to continue our discourse on the Sustainable Development Goals vis-a-vis leadership responsibility to attaining the goals set by the global organization United Nations that over 193 countries, including Ghana, has subscribed to. So, without much ado, we have on set an expert, if you like, to help us dissect the issues relating to the first 3 goals of the SDG. That has to do with eradication of poverty, hunger, and promotion of good health and well-being. So on set, we have, he doesn't need any introduction because he's been a regular, guest on this program. He's in the person of Nana Kwaku Obeng-Appau the First, otherwise known in private life as Mr. Kwaku Obeng-Appau.
Yeah.
He is a risk management and leadership consultant. Kwaku or Nana, welcome to.
Thank you, dog. Good to see you. Good to see you.
You know, when we have leadership, traditional leadership, and an expert in that, regard coming on the program, it can only get better, so that we look at the issues pertaining to sustainable development.
That's right.
Within our community and society as large. Now, your initial comment on sustainable development goals.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you, audience and our viewers for the opportunity to come back and talk on a very on a global issue that affects almost every home under the sun. My initial view is that sustainable development, the goals developed by UN and all the affiliates, we call that the SDGs. That's the plural form of sustainable development goals. It's, in common parlance, living tomorrow today. Bottom line. I mean, because there are too many global challenges around us that impact the environment. The environment is heating up. We know that. And drought, when it's raining, people really want to run away. It's winding, heat wave. I am told today, as we sit here on the news media, that there are Muslims, our brothers, went to Hajj, and a lot of them have perished. May their soul rest in peace because of excess heat only as of yesterday. And, heat waves, are consuming almost everybody and all that. So bottom line is that mankind is bedeviled with, unbelievable environmental hazards. And so the sustainable development goals are neatly and interconnected targets or pillars that the UN has actually fashioned out to govern the global governance. And at the global level, the UN is in charge. But it's been broken down all the way from government level to society, civil society, and also to academia and individual levels and all that put together. So we'll talk about them as we move on, how to eradicate hunger, how to look at, poverty, which is a manifold issue, and also good health and climate concerns. They are all embedded in the SDGs, and it's heavy, in fact. I'm sure when I have time a bit more, I'll go briefly into the history where we were and before we got to the SDGs.
Thank you, Nana, for that quick but very succinct, intro or comment on the SDGs. Last week, I must say, viewers, we look at leadership and sustainable development, where we spoke basically about what leadership entails and how we can all contribute to the sustainable development of our communities. As indicated, and like I said earlier, we're going to focus on 3 of the goals. We spelled it out clearly that within the 17 goals, or the foundation of the 17 goals, has to do with what we call the 5 Ps: the planet, people, prosperity, peace, and partnership. And so it is very important that we understand all of us have a role to play. It's not only about leadership, but ours is to focus today on the three elements, the 3 goals, and how leadership can help, shape our effort at eradicating poverty, hunger, and improving health and all that. So, Nana, with those that recap, I will now zero in on the goal 1, SDG goal 1, which is basically about eradication of poverty. Now, at the leadership level across board, be it at the traditional level, religious level, academia, corporate, political level. You indicated that it's been cascaded to all the various levels.
Yeah.
What will you tell us that leadership has to do as critical to the attainment of the goal of eradicating poverty?
I think a bit backwards, and then we'll come to this germane question, and then we'll see how relevant leadership actually superintend on poverty eradication. Okay. Number one is that those who are interested more in theological matters, Jesus said somewhere that poverty will always be with man. Mm-hmm. And so when you run away with that elementary or pedestrian knowledge, you tend to think that, oh, well, let's live with it. The idea that poverty, it's with man, so don't do anything. I think that would be a very wacky mindset when we say poverty is with man, so don't do anything. And in fact, matter of fact, this one, the leadership struggle to eradicate poverty has been ongoing for generations, because the concept poverty itself is also an old age concept. Right. So, for example, these are practical examples. Part of the reasons for the international wars we witnessed over the last century, First War, Second War, had too many things to do with poverty. Yes. And so immediately after the construction of the UN and all these international clubs and all that, the leadership as the center to really push poverty down has always been a very dominant conversation. But now let's move on deeper, because you can see leadership influence on poverty and poverty alleviation approaches when you understand which prism are we talking about poverty. What do we mean exactly when we say poverty? I think elementarily most people tend to think that the poverty is when you lack money to buy food or buy the things you want. It's only when there is poverty. Unfortunately, the very UN analysis and most literature on poverty actually provide a very methodical component of poverty. So poverty, of course, has to do with material lacuna. Poverty has to do with physical lacuna. Poverty has to do even with mental lacuna. And so you would then come to appreciate the significance of me saying that the UN Sustainable Development Goals are neatly developed and well interlinked. Because as I talk about poverty, not having money and living below the poverty line or $2 as the international benchmark a day is classed as a poverty. But there are also so many drivers of poverty. I mean, I've talked about poverty not being seen as only not having money. Exactly. So poverty is a construct of too many. What actually drives poverty is also as a result of, say, one's inheritance. You could be born into the Gamanche home, and if you are blessed to be born into a lineage where there is money, then you will not see poverty. 80%, you won't see poverty for a very long time. Or the Ashanti Kingdom or Queen Elizabeth. So your one's background actually also determines whether one will be poor or not. Educational level, conflict, environmental issues around flood, wars, etc., etc. One's access to education, and all these things, resource allocation at the national level through to the municipal level, and are all matters actually that feed into the pot we call poverty. So having understood what poverty is, and also having appreciated the causes, some causes of poverty, you then begin to juxtapose the leadership role, because it is understanding what drives poverty, then leaders. Of course, in your earlier conversations, we have said leadership is cause and effect. So leadership then understands that A, B, C, D causes or cause poverty. And then let's superimpose the leadership influence of effect So you are causing change, transformation, and then driving poverty away through education. Okay, so then one would say let's have free, compulsory, universal education, because the idea is that once you can eradicate literacy, people will then be equipped and to be able to explore opportunities, and then you begin to reduce the level of opportunities for all, and then people move away from poverty. China, over the last 30 years, through education and state intervention, has actually pulled over 600 million people, the Chinese Communist Party, out of poverty. That is the governmental level. So at the individual civil society level, the UN initiatives actually has created space for multinationals and civil society agencies and all that, the Red Cross, the Catholic Relief Agencies, and all these international corporations to funnel resources into specific poverty reduction agencies so that poverty will go down. So in the churches, in the mosque, in my chieftaincy and the bigger chieftaincies and all that, and at the individual level, and in academia, the whole conversation is that poverty is not good. I will tell you a book I read, The Millionaire Next Door. I have read that book extensively. You don't want to be the millionaire next door in the midst of squalor, and your neighbors live in squalor and they are poor, and you alone, you won't have peace. And as a security captain, you should understand that. I am also looking at developing the poor man next door, because when you have a millionaire next door and you have a poor man next door, there's always chaos.
So that's very extensive.
That's right.
Picking it from the historical perspective, all the way to linking it to current economic practice where people feel they have to be above everybody. I want to ask, I mentioned earlier that from political, religious, academia, you touch on the religious, traditional, and the academia. Now let's zero in a bit on the political, aspect. Governments over the years have made very intentional efforts, if you like, to improve on the well-being, economic well-being of what is it that accounts for the current level of poverty in all its aspects, not only material possessions, but the mental poverty as well, because that seems to be contributing a lot. But what do you think? All the effort from the political front, why are we still witnessing massive poverty across our society?
I think that's a very profound question, and I do not know whether this time would allow that comprehensive discussion. But let's just hit on a couple of revelations and see how we can address them. Number one is that, yes, it is true, because that government in Africa and even in Ghana, I remember when under Jerry Rawlings, we drew the free, compulsory, universal, basic FQ, and it was all aimed centrally at reducing poverty and illiteracy and all that. And across the international world, we pushed this, what we call, it started actually in the 2000s, where we started with the Washington Consensus, and the international community met to actually, same mindset, see how poverty could be reduced. The Washington Consensus didn't gain, support across the globe, so it fell through. And once it fell through, the Millennium Development Goals were hatched out. And for a while, it was all to push the poverty and all the ills we're talking about. When appraisals were done over time, it became very obvious too that the Millennium Development Goals were not meeting targets as envisaged. And then now we are here in the Sustainable Development Goals. As I tell you, because of COVID-19 and its aftermath, I am saying on authority that the UN itself has started pushing some of the major goals in the SDGs to 2035. The mark line was 2020 to 2030. But today, there are a couple of them that have been pushed to 2035. because of the key question you have asked me, that apart from all these massive efforts, state interventions and all that, poverty and the ills are all staring into our faces. Number one, why? You know, the international community has been suffering from macroeconomic disruptions. If you looked even through from 2008, global financial crisis, all the way down to COVID-19, Ebola, pandemics, war, and geopolitical conflicts and all that. And what it means is that vulnerable states like Ghana and Nigeria and some Latin American countries whose budget support are indexed on the international community. As soon as your paymasters slip through their budget, you are unable to fund your budget. And everything else is put on the shelf. And not just about geopolitical conflict, as it were, but also bad governance. It's everywhere. And corruption. As you begin to go through bad governance and corruption, and yet you don't have the money to do all that, you will necessarily put all these massive initiatives on hold. Yeah. And these are some of the reasons why we are not seeing dramatic push into the effort to reduce poverty and illiteracy and the rest of hunger and all that. Bottom line.
Okay. So you have said it well. Before I go on to hunger, eradication of hunger because they are interlinked.
Exactly.
Anyway. Do you think the mindset of the citizenry across board, from the traditional society to the continental level of Africa, do you think our mindset has something to do with the eradication, the effort at eradicating poverty?
As a mindset student, I would say yes. You know, yes, because, Doctor, and our viewers, this is a very painful commentary when you talk about our mindset as a people and the way we think. Look, if we are building our national agenda, and to a very large extent, even funding of poverty reduction initiative, it's about 90% indexed to external sources. What kind of mindset is that? Do you think that if you are poor and you need food, someone outside your own zone will come and get you out of poverty? The answer is no, because we are reliant 100% or more, to the extent that when we don't get support, and we, in this case, I am situating the conversation in the Ghanaian context and the West African, the Sub-Saharan context. When you don't have it, you can't do anything. And you are back to square one or 10 years backward, because your national budget itself is actually hooked to funding from the World Bank and the IMF. You are dependent on aid. My friend Dambisa Moyo has written a book on dead weight, whether actually aid actually yields some benefit to states. And the evidence is that it is about 50-50 effect. There is no remarkable scientific or empirically proven evidence where nations benefit, properly from aid. So now, here we are. We've gone back to IMF. And IMF comes to say, if you don't do this or that or that or that, we block your money. It is just not about Ghana. Look, Nigeria qualified only yesterday for about $2.something billion. Brother, dog, tell me the size of Nigeria. Nigeria depends also on IMF and World Bank sponsored bailout to be able to push development agenda. If they don't come, what happens? That is our destiny. And this is the mindset we've got. So until we begin to recalibrate our mindset to say we are able to fight and work on our own feet, how we do that, I don't know. And then cut off from reliance on Western donors and today Chinese reliance on money and all that. You can't do anything because our mindset is poor.
So for us to eradicate poverty, we need to refocus our direction on self-reliance, more or less.
Yeah, Bob Marley put it correctly when he says emancipation starts from mental slavery. When you begin to emancipate yourself from mental slavery, that is when you begin to appreciate that, look, I cannot say I am independent and I want to get out of poverty when I am depending on someone to sponsor my poverty initiatives. The Chinese have demonstrated that over the last 40 years that they had to rebuild, they had to pay their debts. It's not to say that no country is allowed to. We all borrow, but borrow, you must borrow and rethink your mindset and rethink your behavior and the way you work things out.
Nana, a lot needs to be said, but I want to quickly have your comment before we take our first break on the linkage, the connection, the nexus between the poverty and hunger. Yes. Obviously you have, but I want you to be, succinct on it, as in the nexus between poverty and hunger, because I believe that one leads to the other, or vice versa.
Yes.
So your comments.
Well, snapshot. Poverty is lack. Yeah. Period. So whether you lack food, you lack money, you lack health, then you are sick, and it dovetails into goal 3. Exactly. Okay? When you don't have enough, in fact, with hunger, the UN's viewpoint is that it's just not about not getting food. But even when you have food and the food lacks nutritional balance, exactly, there's hunger. Exactly. So it's all not having nutritional balance in the food too is poverty. Okay, there is poverty somewhere. Not having the food at all is poverty. It's a crisis. And then lack. So you see how they are all interwoven into one. And no wonder that poverty is the pillar 1. As we move along into hunger and health, we have said that poverty is not, even when you are not strong, your wellness is low, you are poor. And that's a health concern. Back and forth.
Anyway,
thank you.
On this note, cherished viewers and audience out there, we are talking about the SDG goals 1, 2, and 3. So far, we have dealt with 1 and 2. We're going to come back and then we talk about the goal 3 and a bit of goal 2, and then we have your inputs into the conversation. Let's take a breather at this point and we shall be right back.
Are you looking for an excellent professional risk management and training solutions provider? Look no further. Your ultimate solution provider is here at V5 Solutions Limited. We support you with our professional skills in building capacity of your teams and managing all your operational risks. Our bespoke solutions include private and corporate security risk management and training, fraud investigation, occupational safety and health management and training, project monitoring, evaluation and research, supply of private security, logistics equipment. Our solutions are professionally delivered with in-depth focus on people, processes and procedures, the environment and ultra-modern technology. Contact us now on 0303 957136 and 053 5176 or send us an email at info@v5solutionslimited.com for a partnership that strengthens your company for an excellent sustainable productivity and profitability. Visit our website at www.v5solutionslimited.com for more details. V5 Solutions Limited, your ultimate professional risk management and
welcome back. This is Leadership 360 on live on Metro TV and on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana. We are live on DSTV at channel 277. If you just tune in, we are having a discourse around sustainable development goals vis-a-vis leadership role in ensuring that we attain as much as we can for the betterment of our lives, our communities, our country and continent at large. With us in studio is Nana Kwaku Obeng-Appau the first. Nana, you have been, educating us on how poverty, hunger, and health are interlinked.
That's right.
Now, I want us to zero in on health, which is the goal 3 of the SDG, the 17 SDG goals. So, traditionally, we have our medical systems that toe a traditional line, and we have the orthodox line as well. How do we, in promoting good health and well-being, what are some of the things leadership should focus on, especially when you said we as a country and as a continent should begin to look within ourselves for solutions? What are some of the things that we need to do when it comes to this health-wise?
Doc, permit me 2 seconds, and I'll come back to that wonderful question. Number one in this conversation or in this segment is that, you know, hunger, not having good food, not having food at all, requires that number one action plan is that we do proper agriculture. We call that sustainable agriculture to be able to deal with that. Because you see, when you lack food or lack the right nutritional balance, your health drapes off. You know, so you are seeing food or hunger, concept of hunger, in fact, dovetailing immediately into health matters. Now, at the health level, which is a major issue, is that the health community are more interested in actually preventive measures and reactive measures, and sometimes, you know, emergencies, crisis responsive initiatives like Ebola, COVID, pandemics, and all that. Now, so yes, good question. Back to you is that, number one, if we need to grow ourselves out of this international quagmire, what do we do with the local medicine? Is that not exactly? I think leadership at this point is required to understand that, look, there are too many people who actually don't even want to be touched by orthodox medicine. Whether in Ghana or in London or elsewhere in China, Chinese medicine. And if you go to a Chinese chemical shop, everything you see is herbs. Okay, so we must also, if in fact herbs or the African medicine has actually sustained mankind or Africa for generations before orthodox medicine came out, then it will require the leadership front that, number one, let's actually open up the African traditional medicine environment and inject some science into it. It doesn't change anything. Once you do inject knowledge and science into the African traditional medicine environment, then you are looking at efficacy. Because you see, one of the problems which actually beset the African traditional medicine environment is that people promote a universal solution for just one. So one medication, they say your cocoa, your pulse is gone, your heartache is gone, your diabetes is gone. That sort of, you know, mindset is wrong. Okay, so let's begin to open up the space. Let's begin to get people together who are practitioners of herbal medicine to inject some sense and some education and some real orientation so that we embed science. Bringing science onto every environment is magnifying the environment. And that's a leadership question. If we don't do that, then obviously this whole, and dog, here is one secret. Because it's an opaque environment, you allow fake people to get somewhere, hide somewhere, make some concoction, and the next day they are poisoning people's kidney and people's liver and all that. Today, as we sit here, Ghana, we're dealing with kidney disease on the rise, unbelievable, at an unbelievable proportion. So we don't even know what is causing it at the national level or in our homes, whether herbal medicines or some concoctions. We have no idea because we haven't allowed science to go in there. And if the herbal medicines were so efficacious vis-a-vis the orthodox medicines, then the question is that if the machine one lays on when one has liver issue is not function or government isn't paying. How come herbs isn't dealing with that? So you see, yes, I love my herbs and my bitters a lot. When you come to my traditional setting, we've got herbs and bitters sitting in our palaces and all that. But it's not wholesale. It is not comprehensive. Leadership is required to inject some sense of urgency and bring in some science. And let's get it at check. I know Mampong is there. COVID erupted. And I remember very well the Mampong scientific place opened up that anybody who felt that he had solutions to COVID should come. And nobody went there. You know, that is the sort of leadership we require. And to encourage people to come up and all that and put their medicinal particles or properties into scientific experiment. And let's see, and I'm sure leadership will be the issue.
So leadership, from what I picked from your submission, leadership must collaborate with traditional medicine.
For real.
So that scientifically we should be able to come out with real medicine that will promote good health for us.
Absolutely.
In fact, not to even talk about the fact that physical fitness, individual exercise and all that will contribute to great health and well-being as well. Now, psychologically, has poverty got something to do with health?
Inextricably, yes. I mean, in the health arena, as the pillar 3, one of the nascent or one of the evolving issues in the health arena, I mean, which actually bubbled up in the COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 is mental health. All right. So let me be very, very, very emphatic to say that poverty alone doesn't drive, or the evidence is that poverty alone isn't the key driver of mental health. There are other issues to do with stress or work life and too many family issues and disturbances and noise and all that. But one critical thing we need to ring fence is poverty. Because when you lack, and remember we have said poverty is not having money, not just having money. But when you don't also have the health, when you don't have the food, all feed into poverty. So yes, if you are poor and you are struggling to pay today, rent all over the world, rent issues have actually become so endemic, and people don't have jobs. In Africa and in Ghana, too many young people are graduating from schools and there are no jobs for them. Even places where they will do their national services or internship are all problems. They all actually work into their mental illness because of poverty, the poverty environment. So yes, dog, straight to the answer is that it is incontrovertible that once where you got poverty, in whichever form you define poverty, it links straight to mental health and mental problems.
Thank you, Nana. On this note, we'll open the phone lines for your contribution to the program. You can reach us through 0531 982298. 0531 982298. If you're outside the shores of Ghana, just add +233. And if you're also watching us and you want to send us a WhatsApp text, you are all welcome, so that we all contribute to the discourse. Today's topic is very broad, and in fact, the whole of Sustainable Development Goal agenda, the whole agenda is so broad that it cannot be covered in just a few minutes that we have on this program. The discussion will continue offline and all that, but this whole discourse is about bringing our minds to the fact that these goals are critical to our very survival as humans, as it is defined as satisfying the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of future generations.
That's right.
So we have a role to play as individuals and leaders in our communities to support the sustainable development drive, so that our generations after us will have reason to also survive, or will have the support to survive within the environment. Now, subsequent discussions, we're going to cover all the other issues. You talk about climate and all that. But I want us again to focus on poverty and the hunger and health.
Yes.
And link it to education,
Okay.
our educational system. Our educational system. But before we do that, there is a caller on the line from Damongo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Leadership 360 program.
Thank you. I'm Ravi calling from Savannah region.
Oh, Ravi, welcome
Yes,
to Leadership 360.
Thank you.
Please go
I
ahead.
enjoy your program so much, so I just said let me give it a call.
Oh, thank you very much. We are grateful. I believe you are watching the program with other people, and just tell a friend that we all have a role to play for the betterment of our society. Thank you very much. We appreciate your call. Now, Doc, Nana,
Yeah.
as I was saying, educational system.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis these three goals, what can we do? Leadership in our educational institutions, environment. What can we do?
Interesting. Quick one. There's a lot we can do actually to meeting the targets envisaged, whether 2030 or beyond. But one thing, as you talk about jeopardizing the environment and education, then I'm inclined to inject into the conversation slightly about the sustainability, environmental, social, and governance index, because you see, the UN sat down to draw the SDGs, but over time, another space has actually opened for governance, and environmental and governance matters, because it is the leadership part actually.
Nana, let me. Sorry, you continue. Please hold your thoughts.
Thank you.
Gideon from Medina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome to Leadership 360.
Thank you.
Place your comment.
Come again.
I am fine, thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay. Please, I wanted to.
Hello, Gideon.
Okay, I wanted to add something to what he's saying.
What Nana is saying, please go ahead.
I wanted to say that the mindset is contributes a lot to poverty, because if you are not positive, if your mind is not positive, or you don't have a positive mindset, you will not act towards it, because as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you are idle, it comes from your mind, and if you are idle too, it leads to poverty. So it all comes from the mindset. You have to act towards it. You have to have a positive mindset, and you have to work towards it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great contribution. We are so grateful. Indeed, mindset is everything. Mindset. We've said it on this program that whether you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, which will determine your level of development.
Absolutely,
and all that.
Yeah.
So, Nana,
so I was advocating a conversation where I said, SDGs on one hand, quickly the international community is waking up to see ESG, sustainability, and ESG, where E is environmental, S is social, G is governance.
We highlighted a bit of that on the program last week.
Oh, good.
So please throw more light.
Wonderful. So bottom line is that you are seeing an interconnectedness of two ideas coming together that are getting increasingly interwoven. As you begin to talk about the environment and sustainability and all that, about poverty, hunger, eradication, good health, promotion, and all that, then one thing is emerging up, governance. The governance part is actually supposed to be the leadership component.
Okay.
Yeah, I think...
our viewers are
it's good.
enjoying the program. Yeah. So, Elku from Kaswa, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome to Leadership 360.
Thank you, sir.
Place your comment.
Thank you for the program. I think as a country, we haven't really identified our low-hanging fruits. Look at the water coming down Akosombo into Pong, then all the way into the sea. Look at the Accra Plains, the dry land all the way from Afienya all the way to Pong. And we are here talking about hunger. That is just one side of the water. The other side of the water, that's Japan area, all the way to the sea, through Sogakopo to the sea. What are we doing with this big land? And once the water goes down one dam, it ends in the sea. It becomes useless. This is fresh water. Fresh water. So we haven't, as a country, really sat down to identify our low-hanging fruits. Somebody was doing analysis of mango fruit importation from around. And we are talking about importing mango from Cote d'Ivoire, from Brazil, from several countries around the world. What a joke. We haven't really identified our low-hanging fruit. We need to sit up. All these SD things are common things to us. They've just repackaged it for us. We need to wake up. Otherwise, the world will pierce us to a point. It's like we are converging instead of diverging. It's like we are going to a common point that we all going, we're just going to burn ourselves there instead of opening up and expanding and being fruitful. So I think as a country, we must identify our low-hanging fruit before we talking about many big things. The small things we are running around. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. We're talking about water. The Bagri Dam overflows every year. Annual flooding happens in the northern part of Ghana, and we need this water for irrigation, all year round irrigation. So just a comment that indeed harvesting this mass volume of water can aid us in agriculture so that we improve on eradicating poverty and hunger as well. So good comments. We appreciate it. Nana,
I applaud him a lot. Before I even move on to the other question, I think we need to...
We have some few,
yeah,
just
we
about
need
2 minutes.
That's it. So we won't open up the frontiers because it can be very elaborate.
Exactly.
Is that it's not just about water flowing and we are not doing anything about that. Look at the sun. Yeah. Look at the sun. Yeah. The only one of these are resources, natural resources, energy. The owner of the universe has given us. Exactly. But you see, so the sun, we can harvest electricity, solar energy, and we may not even need to rely on electricity where we depend on gas and some oil, fossil to burn, and we don't have power on, and industries are fading off and all that. So I agree. Today we are not tomato. It's not. Oh, it's
the lines are buzzing. So
yeah,
the lines are buzzing. Let's take this last call. You're from Tema. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Doc. I like listening to Nana, but one thing that I want us to. Yeah. Thank you, Doc. One thing that I want Nana to address is our education.
Yes.
You see, we have educated people with no character. We have left out character out of the whole equation to the point that brilliant people have found it a crooked way of making money. Look at our constitution. What does it give us? It gives us, it has given us some peace. But those in power have the right to do whatever they like with our resources. And here we are talking about the UN drawing the UN. The UN is part of our problem, even though it has become a haven for peace. The UN works for other nations more than it works for Africa, because we ourselves, we are not looking at our education and the character element. Because you can be the most brilliant person in the world. If you don't have character, you cannot do anything to harness what the low-hanging fruit my brother talked about to help your community.
Thank you. This conversation can continue on and on. That's why we've devoted quite a chunk of the time for season 3 on SDGs. Talking about the UN, yes, it's a global body, but it is what you make of the policies that they roll out that makes a difference in the life of a country. So let's not fault the UN per se, but it is about what you do with whatever they roll out that makes a difference. So Nana, we will quickly take a brief, we have just about 2 minutes to wrap up.
All right.
So I'll come back to that. But I just want us to point out, before we go for our leadership honor code, I want us to take a look at a short video and picture of what we, the Leadership 360 team, have been trying to contribute by way of supporting sustainable growth. We have donated some educational materials to two schools in the north, Bawa Barracks Basic School in Tamale and Cogni Basic School. This is on the screen, as you can see. We're distributing these educational materials to aid in promoting literacy that will eventually lead to eradication of poverty, hunger, and all that. That is our own small way of contributing to the development of our country. All of us have a role to play. In your own small corner, identify a challenge, solve it you may not solve all, but solve it, and then we are moving forward. On that note, let's take our leadership honor code, and we shall come back to wrap up the program.
I am a proud and firm African. I will take a stand. I will lead and be the change. Come and take my hand. For the safety, honor, and welfare of my country and company come first. Always and every time. The honor, welfare, and comfort of the people I lead come next. My own ease, comfort, and safety come last. Always and every time.
Welcome back. Indeed, our comfort, our ease, and our own welfare should come last all the time. That is to indicate that we care for each other. Nana?
Yes, sir.
Your final comment, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. My final comments are that I would love the last caller to connect with you, and then we can exchange ideas offline. He raises fundamental questions. Number two is that education is supposed to transform our minds, our hearts, and our souls, and our character. Anything beyond that is funny. Education, what we are seeing today is a checkered, or people are more interested in long certification, and they don't do anything. Once they get access, it is about going into politics, riding Land Cruisers. That is not education. That is a warped mindset, and that's a warped educational model. We need to recalibrate that. That requires a national conversation. Thank you,
Nana. Time is so fast spent. On this note, it's been great having you around. We can continue on and on and on. But next week, we shall continue the conversation on sustainable development goals. Join us and hope to see you. Let's have a beautiful evening